There has emerged in the field of speech communication, as you may know, a very large subdivision, a very large specialty called organizational communication.
At the first business meeting on April 27, 1968, at the Waldorf Astoria, 26 individuals expressed interest in Division 4, which was one of the original 4 divisions of the association.
I recall several years ago, I was serving as the executive secretary of the National Society for the Study of Communication when we decided to organize the International Communication Association and the Organizational Communication Division. Many of the first presidents of ICA were division members, and I became president of ICA in 1971. During that period of time, the Organizational Communication Division was probably the outstanding division of the association.
During the day preceding the main convention program, Division 4 held what is called an Audit Marathon Workshop. Here are the other 1975 Division 4 program titles: Changing Supervisory Communication Behavior Through Transactional Analysis, Teaching Organizational Communication, Theoretical Contributions to Organizational Communication, the Teleconference and Electronic Meeting, Urban Communication, and the Top 4 Papers panel.
Hi, I've been with ICA Organization Division 4 for over 40 years. I was involved in the original audit project. I'm grateful that Division 4 has sponsored 3 international conferences I've hosted. And I think one of the things I learned, a couple of the things I learned from Division 4 is a sense of professionalism. And an additional thing was how to have fun. And I have a very short story. It happened in the late 1970s. And we were thinking about making a formal proposal to the Congress. And then there was a scandal about a congressman who was actually running for president and an extramarital affair with one of his staffers. And after that, we couldn't get anybody from Congress to talk to us.
I joined the ICA ORCOM division as a graduate student in 1976 and attended my first convention in Portland, Oregon. We were printing and mailing about 550 newsletters twice a year. As a member for 42 of our 50 years, I commend all who have served our division, those who have participated in our scholarly activities, and those who will become engaged with the division in the future.
Working 9 to 5, what a way to make a living.
There are 2 historical facts that I need to mention that had a huge impact on our field. The first is Charles Redding, who I refer to as the father of organizational communication, and the second is the ICA audit, the best collaborative research effort I've ever seen. I don't think we can overestimate the impact that either Charles or the audit had on our field. There are 2 ICA conventions that stand out in my mind, the one in Hawaii, where the smell of coconut oil came through the windows of a room that sat right on the beach, where all of us really wanted to be, and the one in Mexico, where many of us ended up with Montezuma's revenge.
So when I became division chair in 86 through 88, we spent a lot of time focusing on advancing research and advancing theoretical perspectives. We talked a lot about how we could take arenas of the field and give them a strong communication lens. And one of the first things that we did in division, when I was division chair, was to have a pre-conference where we actually featured the research going on in organizational socialization. We also try to talk about multi-perspectives and multi-methods of trying to get at data. We began to work toward the interpretive and the critical perspectives and bringing those in and making those featured as part of the landscape of the division.
Hi everybody. Some 30 years ago, I sat down with Fred Jablin and he told me what I needed to do in my new role as vice chair of the division. From that, I went on to the chair and the past chair roles, and I owe Fred a lot for showing me just exactly what to do. I think this division can take a lot of pride in the fact that it presents the best research of the people involved and carries on traditions like the pre-conference and the doctoral consortium.
Hi there. I was ICA Vice Chair from 1990 to 92, where I planned conferences in Sydney, Australia, and Washington, D.C. I was Chair from 1992 to 1994. I remember three major division activities at the time, which were still influenced by Fred Jablin's visionary leadership of the division. First was the Dissertation Award, which was still getting off the ground in terms of fundraising. The second was the new member breakfast, also a Jablin innovation, which was hugely popular. And finally was the Academic Industry Task Force. In these roles, you asked so many people to serve for you as chairs and respondents that I felt like I spent another 2 years paying people back.
My immersion was in 1973 in the division, and in the 45 years since then, been a pretty active member, been delighted to be able to serve the division as a chair. 1998 through 2000, that had me planning the San Francisco convention and then chairing the business meeting in Acapulco in 2000. How's that for two wonderful venues for you? It's just been delightful to be with all of you and with such great scholars, and I've just been thrilled to see the expansion of the division with our international scholars.
You know, I'd like to say we transformed organizational communication during my reign, but the truth is it was a pretty typical term. There is, however, one innovation I take credit for, and that's the party in my final year. The convention was in Dresden, Germany, and here we staged Conference Fest 06. Michael Hinner used his connections to get us party space at the Schillergarten. That's an historic restaurant next to the Elbe River where Friedrich Schiller hung out and hooked up with the owner's daughter way back in the 1700s. We had a huge turnout. People came and talked, and drank beer, and talked more, and drank more beer. Some people drank more beer than others. It's one of my favorite memories of ICA.
This division in many ways has been my connection to the field ever since I moved to New Zealand. I got my PhD from the States about 18 years ago, and I've been involved with ICA ever since. One of my favorite memories is when Cynthia Stoll was the division chair, and I think this was the San Francisco conference, and she chaired the entire meeting with slides that had an Arnold Schwarzenegger theme, and I'm not quite sure why.
ORCOM is 50, and I've been with it for 40 years. I think what stands out most about our division is our business meeting. Always so well attended and always so much fun. I remember 2007 San Francisco when I was chair and the California governor came and joined us. In his image, the meeting started with a discussion of our division's strengths. 5 of the last 10 presidents had come from the ORCOM division, and that doesn't count 2 that came previously and the 2 that came after and the many that will come in the future. We may not have had a lot of money, but when the hard work and the meeting was terminated, we did what we always do, we partied.
So the ORCOM division of ICA is 50. Probably one of my earliest division memories is the pre-conference in Dublin, Ireland in 1990. The pre-conference was called European Approaches to Organizational Communication, but it was actually a really exciting conference and brought together a number of scholars from Europe and Australia and the US. It also, I think, marked the debut of Jim Taylor as kind of a recognized person in the field. He gave a presentation at that pre-conference, and it sort of marked the beginning of what we came to know as the Montreal School CCO approach to organizational communication.
So one thing that stands out for me in my time as chair of the division is creating the research escalator, which came about, first of all, because our acceptance rates for papers at the time were really too low. We wanted it to be more inclusive. We wanted more people to be able to participate. Plus, I had a long-standing commitment to internationalizing ICA and the division in particular. And so I came up with the idea of the research escalator, in which we would have a double session, a high percentage of papers accepted as long as they were appropriate to the division, and we would match up the authors with senior scholars in the division who would provide feedback and help the authors get those papers closer to publication.
I've been a member of this division for about 25 years. My earliest memory of the division would be the 1993 Doctoral Student Consortium, where I mostly felt overwhelmed and amazed at the star power in the room. I felt like I was finally able to give back a little bit when I served as division secretary. I had the privilege of organizing the London Doctoral Student Consortium 20 years after mine, and I was still overwhelmed and amazed at the people in the room. I also program planned the Seattle and Puerto Rico conferences, where we introduced the best sessions, the brief, entertaining, scholarly talks.
And in my years in this division, what I valued the most are the people, the sense of community, the willingness to always help out. As a respondent, as a chair, as a reviewer, as a person coming up with great ideas for new session formats, as a committee member, whenever we call upon the people in this division, it is never in vain, because they are always willing to contribute.
I vividly remember my very first participation at ICA 2005 in New York. I was a PhD student at the time. I had a terrible cold, but at the same conference I happened to receive the Top Student Paper Award by the ORCOM division. As you can imagine, I felt really honored and also surprised that I received this award, even with a somewhat nerdy or at least unusual paper about the German sociologist Niklas Luhmann. But I think this is a very good example of one of the key strengths of the ORCOM division. It provides a strong joint identity and community and a home for many scholars, but without being a closed shop, but instead being rather inclusive.
Hello everyone. The first time I ever presented a paper, it was for this division actually, and I remember I was quite impressed because I had for the first time to make a presentation in English, and I was very afraid of, and I had to read my paper, and it was very painful, not only for me of course, but also for the audience. But what I clearly remember is that people were extremely friendly, and they were encouraging me, which was a real good feeling. I've always felt this when I've been with this division.
Hi, the Organizational Communication Division was my first at ICA in 1978. I find the sessions very interesting, very helpful. You learn about new methods, new theory, new ways of thinking about things. The high density of sessions are great. I just go and just let the ideas wash over me and get some ideas to do things later on. The top papers are always very impressive and daunting in their sophistication and complexity. The BEST sessions are new and interesting ways of presenting research, and you find out that some of your colleagues are pretty good actors, pretty good musicians, and slide designers. And in fact, at one of those at Puerto Rico, a very large crab that was crawling its way towards the presentations, I found out it was not, in fact, part of the session, so I had to take it back to the beach.
One of the most vivid examples for me of the ORCOM division is in 2001. Washington, D.C., the first doctoral consortium I ever went to as a faculty member. I came away so impressed by the senior colleagues, people who've been around for a while, who devoted so much time to cultivating personal relationships with graduate students. What was most impressive to me was the ways in which they were developmental in the truest sense of the word. They had a shared desire to figure out what our field was going to look like in its shared trajectory.
I particularly appreciate the research escalator sessions. I think it's illustrative of the supportive culture that has grown within our research community the past 50 years. We have participants from all over the world.
The Charles Redding Dissertation Award, which honors one of our pioneers, is presented annually to the student whose dissertation is considered to be the best of the year. On this 50th anniversary of our division, it seems appropriate to honor and celebrate the former students and their advisors who have won this award. So, scrolling on the screen here are the names of the winners and their advisors and the years they won. So as you look at this list, you'll see that there are a number of students whose names you would recognize, mainly because many of the students on this list have gone on to become leading scholars in the field. You may also note that a number of senior scholars are missing from this list, like Linda Putnam and Stan Dietz and a number of others, perhaps because they were so audacious that they wrote their dissertations before we created the Dissertation Award in 1979.
In the background are pictures of 32 past Javelin awardees. Some are smiling, some should have their university profile pictures retaken, just saying, but all have made important contributions to the field of organizational communication. The award was originally conceived as recognition for outstanding service.
Back in 1986, members decided to recognize service to the division by creating the Outstanding Member Award. Fast forward, if you would, to 2005, and the division decided to honor a wonderful and truly prolific scholar in our midst, Frederick Javelin, and renamed the award in his honor. Now we'll fast forward again to 2011, 6 years later, and the members decided that they wanted to highlight the importance of scholarly contributions as well as to avoid the double entendre of the original title of the award, and renamed it the Frederick M. Javelin Award for Outstanding Contributions to Organizational Communication. Fred Javelin we've all recognized as being a leader in the field, and he's probably best known for his work with Linda Putnam and a variety of others over the years on the Handbook of Organizational Communication, which has been such a bedrock foundation for who we are as a discipline.
Management Communication Quarterly enjoys a very special relationship with the division, something that I, as the immediate past editor of MCQ, very much appreciate. Over 3 decades, MCQ has published the best of the best academic research in the area. Many such works are produced or reviewed, or sometimes both, by the division members.
When I was the editor of Management Communication Quarterly, it was a pivotal time for the journal. It was a time when we got our first impact factor, and that was a significant moment in the life of the journal, and it meant that the journal was able to represent itself as the premier journal of organizational communication just by having that impact factor. It took a lot of work, and a lot of work by people within the division, and that I really appreciate.
I was especially proud to be involved in the Encyclopedia Project, and I'm so impressed with everything that was put into that project, with hundreds of entries and many scholars across the discipline who were able to contribute to help us to tell the story of the past and the current and the future of our division's knowledge and research and scholarship.
For us, the ICA OrgComm division has become a place not just to grow as scholars, but to grow as members of a community.
And when you're a junior scholar, one of the things you worry about is how isolating our work can be, and how are you going to meet other people and develop relationships?
And this division has given us a chance to stretch beyond our departments, our schools, and our borders to connect with people from around the world.
And it's the reason why scholars from the US, Canada, and the Netherlands can find themselves at a baseball game in Japan, launching noisy balloons in the air with thousands of other people.
My first ICA was 2007 in San Fran. What hooked me was actually the business meeting. That's what keeps me coming back. Our community, the chance to forge new collaborations, connect with mentors, develop mentorship skills, and make new friends. I hope that we can continue to nurture our uniquely wonderful community for another 50 years.
What I love about our division is how welcoming and supportive everyone is. In my experience, this division has made a true effort to really support grad students and junior faculty. One of the best decisions that I've made in my career is to make the OrgComm division my scholarly home. That's what I love about this division, that it's a group of scholars that are willing to embrace other scholars with open arms and welcome new ideas and challenge some of those ideas as well.
We have a division that are full of people that love studying what they study and love helping others come to love it the same way that they do as well. Our division is just full of people who are so friendly and welcoming and encouraging of new scholars. And so this to me is the special thing about OrgComm.
One of my favorite things about organizational communication, which is something that I think I see represented really well in the division as a whole, is the value of the diversity of methods and theories when it comes to us trying to understand organizations and organizing. And what I really hope for as we're looking to the next 50 years is that we can continue to find a way to make even more of a difference in understanding, not only understanding organizations, but making a difference in organizations and helping them to organize better and in more socially just ways.
Hello, Org Comm Division. You look great. When I look around the division, I also notice that many of our members look like I do. As we move toward the next 50 years, I look forward to being part of a division that will continue to become more reflexive about how whiteness is built into our organizing practices, both here in the division and in our home institutions. It's a way that we can ensure that in the next 50 years, when we celebrate our 100th, we look even better.
But one of the things that has stuck with me throughout the years that I've been involved in the division is how welcoming our community is to newcomers. From Dresden to Fukuoka, from Puerto Rico, back to Acapulco, ICA has truly been a very inclusive and welcoming community for me. And I hope that as we look to our future, we continue to celebrate through our research and our doing inclusivity and participation in all that we do.
Here's to 50 more years of playing hard and laughing a whole lot, as well as 50 more years of working really hard and producing some of the finest and most robust scholarship around.
Celebrate good times, come on! Let's celebrate. Happy 50th.
Happy 50th.
Happy anniversary.
Happy 50th anniversary.
A happy 50th anniversary.
Happy 50th anniversary.
Happy 50th anniversary.
Happy 50th anniversary.
Happy anniversary, Division 4, and thank you for all the amazing opportunities that you've provided to so many of us over these first 50 years.
Congratulations.
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 Congratulations for 50 years.
Congratulations on our 50th anniversary.
Congratulations to ICA and the Org Comm Division for 50 years.
Congratulations on our golden anniversary.
Congratulations to all of us, and here's to the next 50.
And on this 50th anniversary, I wish everyone the very best and 50 more years.
I'd like to congratulate the Org Comm Division on its first 50 years, and I hope the next 50 years is even better.
I won't be with you here for number 100, but I'm certain that we'll have a lot to celebrate.
Really looking forward to being part of this group, maybe not for the next 50 years, but for as long as you'll have me.
Cheers to 50 years and 50 more.
I'm raising a glass to the next 50 years.
Here's to 50 more years post